Today, I am going to share with you about the disobedience has always consequences. Let us read in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 31 verse 1 to 13. Verse 1, Now the Philistines fought against Israel. The Israelites fled before them, and many fell slain on Mount Gilboa. The Philistines pressed hard after Saul and his sons, and they killed his sons Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua. Verse 3, The fighting grew fierce around Saul, and when the archers overtook him, they wounded him critically. Saul said to his armor-bearer, Draw your sword and run me through, or these uncircumcised fellows will come and run me through and abuse me. But his armor-bearer was terrified and would not do it. So Saul took his own sword and fell on it. Verse 5, When the armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he too fell on his sword and died with him. Verse 6, So Saul and his 3 sons and his armor-bearer and all his men died together that same day. Verse 7, When the Israelites along the valley and those across the Jordan saw that the Israelite army had fled and that Saul and his sons had died, they abandoned their towns and fled, and the Philistines came and occupied them. Verse 8, The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. Verse 9, They cut off his head and stripped off his armor, and they sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim the news in the temple of their idols and among their people. Verse 10, They put his armor in the temple of Ashtoreth and fastened his body to the wall of Bethshan. Verse 11, When the people of Jabez Gilead heard of what the Philistines had done to Saul, verse 12, all their valiant men journeyed through the night to Bethshan. They took down the bodies of Saul and his sons from the wall of Bethshan and went to Jabez, where they burned them. Verse 13, They took their bones and buried under a tamarisk tree of Jabez, and they fasted 7 days. Whether we are talking about stealing cookies from a cookie jar, shoving all the mess in your room under the bed, cheating on a college final, or padding an expense account, there are consequences when we get caught doing something wrong. We might be reprimanded, lose privileges, receive a 0, or get fired. The result of disobedience can be an inconvenience, or it can be life-altering. For Saul, disobedience in not following God's instructions had severe consequences. In the book of 1 Samuel chapter 31, many fell dead. All the Israelites were forced to flee, and Saul's army along with his sons were killed. Because of Saul's disobedience, he no longer had the Lord's protection, and Philistine arrows found him. Fearing what would happen when the enemy saw him wounded on the battlefield, Saul asked his armor-bearer to kill him. When the armor-bearer declined out of fear, Saul killed himself. Saul's demise shows us 4 powerful lessons. Number 1, obedience brings God's presence and favor. Disobedience leaves us on our own to suffer the consequences of our actions. Number 2, even one bad choice can bring long-lasting consequences. Successive bad choices can bring catastrophic results. Number 3, our disobedience doesn't just affect us. There are consequences for everyone around us. Number 4, sometimes we can't fix disobedience without a lot of pain. Sometimes we can't just fix at all. Saul was the Lord's chosen king for the Israelites, but rather than trusting that God knew best, Saul's ego took first place in his heart. When it did, disobedience, doing things his way, became his undoing. Saul lost everything by losing sight of the only thing that mattered, his relationship with the one true king. Reflect. Recall a time when you were disobedient. What were the consequences? Why did you learn? What do you think the consequences for Saul's disobedience were so severe? What is one step you can take to be obedient to what God is calling you to do today?
Nakamtan ko, o aking Jesus, lumalapit, hindi man karapat-dapat sa kabanalan mo. Biyaya at kaawaan, kapatawaran sa'yo ay nakamtan ko, o aking Jesus, ay nakamtan ko, o aking Jesus, ay nakamtan ko, o aking Jesus. Siyasatin mo, Jesus, ang puso ko sa kasalanang nagawa laban sa'yo. Nagtatapat, sumasamo, tumutulong sa harap ng banal mong trono. Lumalapit, hindi man karapat-dapat sa kabanalan mo. Biyaya at kaawaan, kapatawaran sa'yo ay nakamtan ko, o aking Jesus. Siyasatin mo, Jesus, ang puso ko sa kasalanang nagawa laban sa'yo. Nagtatapat, sumasabog, tumutulog sa harap ng banal mong trono. Lumalapit, hindi man karapat-dapat sa kabanalan mo. Biyaya at kaawaan, kapatawaran sa'yo ay nakamtan ko, o aking Jesus. Lumalapit, hindi man karapat-dapat sa kabanalan mo. Biyaya at kaawaan, kapatawaran sa'yo ay nakamtan ko, o aking Jesus. Lumalapit, hindi man karapat-dapat sa kabanalan mo. Biyaya at kaawaan, kapatawaran sa'yo ay nakamtan ko, o aking Jesus. Ay nakamtan ko, o aking Jesus. Ay nakamtan ko, o aking Jesus. Siyasatin mo, Jesus, ang puso ko sa kasalanang nagawa na